From the world called Alizard, a hero took with him the Dark Princess and brought her to his world. This hero's name was Akatsuki. When he was about to return to his original world with the Dark Princess, the Shieldfeed Kingdom's servants were after him. Although he helped this kingdom to defeat the Dark Lord, his pursuers were assigned to bring him back to the kingdom. Because of his behavior, he was branded as the rogue hero. When he felt that he was being followed by Valkyria, who was leading those chasing him, he stopped to face her. She was with other servants of the kingdom, and they wanted to arrest him. At Valkyria's signal, the servants rushed to him at the same time, but he was able to easily escape from them and managed to take off their underwears. Valkyria got mad at him, so she decided to fight Akatsuki. When he arrived at the gate, Princess Listy was waiting for him. She would also try to stop him, but he told her that he had no reason to stay there, because they had already defeated the Dark Lord. After hearing his words, Listy could not do anything. As she was walking back to the kingdom, Akatsuki reminded her again that she should call him if something bad happened again. Then he took this chance, and entered the gate that would take him back to the other world. When he got to his house, he unzipped the bag and let out the Dark Princess, named Miyu. The next day, they both went to the school called Babel, so they could enroll there as students. This was a special school that protect and monitor those who return from another world. In order for others not to suspect Miyu that she was a Dark Princess, Akatsuki decided that they would pretend to be siblings. When they arrived in Babel, they underwent various tests. Since those who returned from other worlds would usually get different abilities, the educational institution Babel was established, so that those like Akatsuki could be guided properly. In this school, students were taught to strengthen and properly use the abilities that they acquired from the other world. Akatsuki's enrollment in the school also reached the student council immediately. They all read the word true hero and overlord in his form. They even thought that Akatsuki might be a threat, but the student council president decided to welcome Akatsuki. An instructor brought Akatsuki and Miyu into a room to test their skills. They were asked to choose a weapon, so Miyu chose the sword, while Akatsuki preferred to just rely on his strength. Miyu was challenged first, and when the instructor attacked her, he was thrown away after she retaliated using her power. Then she followed it up with another attack that the instructor was unable to stand. At that moment, the student council president, named Kyoya, appeared to them. Akatsuki immediately thought that Kyoya was the strongest student in Babel, after he introduced himself as the student council president. Since the instructor could no longer continue the test, Kyoya volunteered to be his opponent. He suddenly attacked Miyu with an ice pillar. Fortunately, she was quickly saved by Akatsuki. Then he challenged Akatsuki if he could break the ice pillar that he created. Akatsuki accepted it immediately because he was confident in his ability that he could break it. But he gave a condition that if he broke it, Kyoya must fight him. When he was about to get ready, he remembered what the Dark Lord had said when he entrusted Miyu to him. Then he punched the ice pillar with great force that caused him to destroy the floor where he was standing. Although the ice pillar did not break, Kyoya was amazed at his strength. Then he congratulated them that they had completed the entrance examinations. After they left the room, Kyoya touched the ice pillar and it suddenly crumbled. He immediately thought that Akatsuki purposely did not show his real power while Miyu was still there, because he wanted them to fight with all their strength. This made Kyoya thought that he also wanted the power of a true hero. The next day, Akatsuki and Miyu started their first day at school. Their classmates looked at them when they entered their classroom. When Akatsuki sat down, their female classmate, named Izumi, approached them. She said that the two of them were the topic of the talks in the whole school. It was because of what Miyu did to the instructor, and the student council president himself endorsed Akatsuki during their enrollment. They also found out that being included in Section B on the first day was also a big deal. Like Izumi and their other classmates, they worked hard to get to this section from Section E. A few moments later, one of their classmates, named Onizuka, suddenly came and was furious because Akatsuki had taken his seat. And he did not expect that Akatsuki was going to beat him up. Because of Onizuka's pitiful condition, Miyu went out to stop Akatsuki. When Izumi got out, the members of the disciplinary committee arrived. They brought Akatsuki to the student council office. It was not long when the other members of the student council, named Haruka, Minami and Ryohei, arrived in the room. Haruka could not believe her eyes when she saw that Akatsuki was sitting in Kyoya's seat. When Kyoya entered the room, Akatsuki immediately rushed toward him, so Haruka and her companions quickly took action to stop him. Although Akatsuki blocked all the attacks on him, he was surrounded by them. He thought that Kyoya was the one who sent him there to continue what they wanted to happen, but it turned out to be Haruka, because she was the head of the disciplinary committee. She warned him that he was already on the watch list of the disciplinary committee because of what he did on his first day at school. She added that if he made another trouble, they would use force to stop him. After he came out of the room, he was approached by a girl whom he thought was still in grade school. He was surprised because she was their class president and her name was Kazuha, who came to pick him up for their next class. He found out that she skipped her grade school because she was advanced compared to others. But for Kazuha, the members of the student council were far better than her, and they were not just some random students in school. By noon, Onizuka once again bullied Tanaka and took his place in the line. But he got annoyed that Akatsuki was also there, who bullied him then took his place, and he could not do anything about it. Then Akatsuki returned it to Tanaka. His action made the other students think that Akatsuki had replaced Onizuka's place as the bully. Miyu found out that Haruka had summoned Kazuha to reprimand her about the things that Akatsuki was doing. She also assigned Kazuha to submit a report before class started. For this reason, she became even stricter on the school rules, that even the accessories in Izumi's bag that Miyu gave her were removed. Miyu was supposed to give her something, but Kazuha did not accept it. Meanwhile, at the student council office, Haruka was still restless because Kazuha had not yet submitted a report. Kyoya came and told them that he would personally handle all the issues related to Akatsuki. On the other hand, one student did something to the cockatrice that Class B would use for their next class. While Class B was in Stadium 2, they were all given an arm device that would provide them a weapon that suited them, using their magical power through their imagination. But since Akatsuki did not have magical power, he could not use it. When they started, those who wanted to fight with a partner were sent to Stadium 1, and those who wanted to fight alone stayed behind. Miyu and her classmate decided to go to Stadium 1, and Akatsuki stayed in Stadium 2. He chose Onizuka to be his rival in the duel. At first, Onizuka did not agree, but when Akatsuki said that he would only use an ordinary sword because he could not use the arm device, Onizuka immediately agreed. The cockatrice that the students would fight had been released in Stadium 1. The other students had repeatedly fought it, that's why they already knew its abilities. Onizuka thought Akatsuki would join Miyu in Stadium 1 to fight the cockatrice. But at that moment, he was confident that he was able to defeat Akatsuki because he was only using an ordinary weapon. When their fight started, he was able to quickly cast magic to attack Akatsuki. He thought that he had defeated him, but he was shocked that his attack had no effect on Akatsuki. Onizuka attacked again, but it still did not work, so when Akatsuki attacked him, he fell in shock. Akatsuki took his arm device, and when he put it on, he discovered something. On the other hand, the cockatrice continued its attack in Stadium 1, and the students were helpless due to its extreme strength. Kazuha tried to attack it, but it did not work, so Miyu and Izumi helped her and they were able to push it back. They immediately took advantage of this opportunity so the other students could escape the area. When the cockatrice was about to attack again, they retaliated at the same time. It attacked again, so Izumi and Kazuha quickly protected Miyu, causing them to turn into stone as well. Miyu was fighting the cockatrice alone when Akatsuki suddenly came there. Akatsuki was able to push it back, and using multiple arm devices, he was able to release his weapon. When the cockatrice attacked, he easily parried it with this weapon. It turned out that he took the other students' arm devices until he gathered 7 of them. He thought that he had enough to unleash his weapon before he went to Stadium 1. He used this weapon to allow him to channel his energy into the cockatrice. Because of this, he successfully defeated the cockatrice, and the students who had turned into stone returned to normal. Then he left the stadium, and what happened at Stadium 1 immediately reached the student council office. Ryohei was amazed at what Akatsuki did, but Haruka did not agree because Akatsuki only defeated one cockatrice. Akatsuki went to Tanaka because he knew that he was the one who changed the cockatrice's stats. Tanaka also planned to put the blame of this incident on Onizuka because Onizuka was the last person who used the master key of the stadium to clean it as a punishment for the mess he made the other day. He suddenly rushed and kicked Akatsuki, so Akatsuki took out his weapon. But Tanaka continued to attack him, and because of the speed of his attacks, Akatsuki could not get away from him. He endured this until his weapon disappeared, and he fell to the ground. But when Tanaka approached him, Akatsuki immediately took out his weapon to attack Tanaka, since he just pretended to be lost. Tanaka decided to attack the building, because it turned out that he had the intention to destroy Babel. He was thinking that they would only be used as an instrument of Babel to be sent to war. Even though he knew that many innocent students would be affected by what he would do, he still did not care about it. But before he could start what he intended to do, Kyoya suddenly imprisoned him in ice. Akatsuki was surprised that Kyoya came there, so he told Akatsuki that they had the same reason why they came to this room. Although Kyoya did not want to interfere in the fight between Akatsuki and Tanaka, he also would not let Tanaka cause damage to Babel. Akatsuki also wanted to fight Kyoya, but he said that he would prioritize the well-being of Miyu and her friends. When he and Miyu met at the stadium, she suddenly became dizzy and lost consciousness. In the afternoon after school, Akatsuki visited Miyu in the infirmary. When Akatsuki touched her shoulder, he found out that she had her injury on it. Using his vivification technique, he activated and stabilized Miyu's internal energy to speed up her body's ability to heal. At that moment, Miyu remembered her father, so Akatsuki encouraged her to reveal her true feelings and pour out her anger on him as the culprit in her father's death. One day while they were having breakfast, Akatsuki saw on the news that a member of the cocoon had arrived in the country, so he immediately stood up. From Akatsuki's reaction, Miyu got worried about him, so she asked Izumi about the cocoon. Kazuha explained that this was the children of cross over other nations, and each of its members was stronger than the entire army of the country that they represent. Its members held an unofficial meeting to discuss the arrival of the true hero or Akatsuki. It turned out that one of the members of the cocoon was Kyoya, and he told the others that he had seen some of Akatsuki's abilities, but not its full power yet. He admitted that he was still observing whether he should be invited to join them or not. While Akatsuki was on the rooftop, he remembered what he saw on the news that morning. After a while, another student came there. When he approached Akatsuki, the guy told him that it was his first time to meet him. He was about to shake hands to introduce himself, but he suddenly punched Akatsuki, which was blocked too. The two fought and exchanged attacks until Akatsuki was able to knock him down. Akatsuki was about to follow at another attack, so the guy immediately surrendered. After accepting his defeat, Akatsuki helped him stand, and there were some things that this guy mentioned which he did not understand. Then he also invited Akatsuki to meet him on Monday, and he introduced himself as Motoharu from Class A. By Monday, it was the first day of the Cocoon Summit meeting, which would be held at the Metro Hotel, and the security was very tight. Kyoya was also there, and as a representative of Japan Babel, it was very important for him to ensure the order of the summit meeting. It turned out that there were terrorists whom he fought in the restroom, because those people wanted to protest in the summit meeting. At that moment, the exam was being conducted in Babel for Japanese history. While others were working hard on the exam, the instructor noticed that Akatsuki was just sleeping. He looked at Akatsuki's test paper and was surprised that his answers were all correct. After the class, Motoharu took Akatsuki to the place he said. When they arrived, Akatsuki was surprised to see the racetrack. Then they went to the person that Motoharu wanted to introduce to him, and it turned out to be Professor Kabuta. Motoharu wanted Akatsuki to test the Sleipnir as well, but Kabuta refused because Akatsuki might get hurt like what happened to Motoharu. Akatsuki approached the Sleipnir, and when he removed its cover, it released a very strong electricity, causing him to be thrown away. It was a spirit-powered motorbike which was created from orichalcum. Motoharu said that it seemed to choose only the right people to ride it. Kabuta added that what happened was just a warning to Akatsuki, and if he tried to hold on to it again, it would definitely do worse on him. Kabuta also mentioned that only Akatsuki's father had the ability to handle it. After Akatsuki heard this, he did not expect that Kabuta knew his father, named Guki. As soon as he realized that Sleipnir would not accept a lower level than his father, he became interested in trying it to show that he was stronger than his father. Haruka went out to check the cause of the complaints from the nearby buildings, and she was surprised to see Akatsuki riding the Sleipnir. When Akatsuki finished trying it, Haruka immediately approached him to take him to the student services office. Kubota came to them and told Haruka that he was the one to blame and not Akatsuki. Then he also told Akatsuki that the Sleipnir was his already, and he could take it home. So Haruka also said that she would also bring the Sleipnir as evidence, but when she touched it, her clothes were torn off. Suddenly, somebody called her for another operation, so Akatsuki immediately gave his uniform to cover her. She promised to return the uniform immediately, then she quickly left. Haruka's group was going to go to the terrorists who introduced themselves as Crimson Twilight because they had a hostage situation in a building. The terrorists wanted to stop the summit meeting, and they demanded that their colleagues who were captured that morning by Kyoya be released. Together with Minami and Ryohei, they put the enemies who were guarding the rooftop to sleep. When they entered the room where the hostages were gathered, Minami created a barrier to protect the hostages, and they quickly attacked the enemies. They immediately defeated them, but one of the enemies survived, and a child was taken hostage. As they continued to negotiate with him, they reached the rooftop. The enemies wanted to take Babel's helicopter for their escape. When the helicopter landed, Akatsuki suddenly appeared and attacked the enemy who's holding the child. It was the moment that Haruka's group took the opportunity to attack two other enemies as well. While the hostages were brought to safety, someone pretended a civilian and he was about to blow up the whole building. But Motoharu suddenly appeared and stopped the enemy immediately because he knew what this man was planning. Meanwhile in the other world, a meeting was held in the Alaclasta Empire, and it was attended by Princess Listi. Aside from the Emperor of Alaclasta, named Emperor Voke, the Emperor of Distia, named Lord Baram, was also there. Baram said that he received information on the location of the Dark Princess. He was planning to send his men to find her, but Listi was worried that it might cause a big problem if he disturbed the Dark Clan. But Baram reminded them that the Dark Princess was still a threat because they did not know when the Dark Clan would attack again. He added that the Dark Princess was not in Alizard, but in another world. They could not believe what Baram had said because they knew that only those in the other world could pass through the other world's gate. Baram revealed that it happened when someone brought the Dark Princess to pass through the other world gate, and it was the rogue hero Akatsuki. Baram brought Listi to Distia to introduce them to Phil. He was the one to be sent on the mission because he was from their world. Phil's mission in the other world was to find and bring Miyu back to Alizard. But before Phil left, Zex wanted to test his skills. Phil agreed to what Zex wanted, but he used his skill on the soldiers of his Distia, so Zex could see it. But if it was not enough for Zex, Phil was ready to fight him, but Baram immediately stopped them. Because of this, Phil continued to go to the other world. Meanwhile, in Babel, the ranking match examination of all the students would be held. Motoharu warned Akatsuki because there were many students who wanted to defeat him so that they could also become popular in Babel. But Akatsuki became more excited, thinking that if he defeated them all, he would definitely be promoted to Class A. Then he also found out that he could face in the ranking match examination the student council, but according to Motoharu they would participate on the second day. After a while, the members of the student council also arrived. Akatsuki could not wait for the ranking match examination because he would finally be able to fight Kyoya. But Kyoya said that he would not be able to participate in the ranking match examination because as a member of the cocoon, he had to attend the summit meeting. But if the summit meeting ended immediately, he might be able to catch up. A few moments later, after the student council members left, the rules for the ranking match examination were explained to everyone. In this exam, they would form a group with 4 members. It was also explained to them about the power delimiting of their arm device. Because of power delimiting, they also had their own clothes for this exam. When the ranking match examination started, they were immediately being attacked by another group, but they easily defeated the enemy. Akatsuki then felt that there was also a group hiding underground, so he attacked it as well. A few moments later, the other groups came out that wanted to attack them. But with just one attack from Akatsuki, he quickly defeated them all. Those who monitored the examination could not believe that one group quickly knocked out the 14 groups in just 1 hour. After they found out who the members of this group were, an instructor was no longer surprised because he knew how strong Akatsuki was. He added that he could even keep up with the student council members, which Haruka did not agree with. But Ryohei agreed with what their instructor said, and even Minami also recognized Akatsuki's strength. At night, while Akatsuki's group was resting, they felt that something broke the wind barrier that they had placed. It turned out that it was Haruka's group who decided to participate in the exam, even though they were scheduled to compete the next day. Haruka challenged Akatsuki to a fight, and although Miyu was against the idea that Akatsuki would fight alone, Akatsuki was complacent with his strength. When they were far away, Ryohei created a barrier so that no one could see them. When Akatsuki took out his weapon, Haruka told Ryohei and Minami that she would fight Akatsuki alone. Then she suddenly attacked Akatsuki, and that was when their fight began. Akatsuki was able to break the barrier that Haruka created and caused her to fall, then Akatsuki immediately aimed his weapon at her. But Minami and Ryohei suddenly attacked Akatsuki. They did not agree to Haruka's wish that she was the only one to face Akatsuki. But they were surprised that their power had no effect on him. Haruka's group put magic on their weapons. But their magic suddenly disappeared because of what Akatsuki did. When Akatsuki attacked, someone blocked it, and it turned out to be Motoharu. He needed to take their attention because they had an emergency, and he knew that Haruka knew about it too. Then they saw the explosion near Miyu's location. Because of this, Akatsuki ran quickly to go to her. A few minutes ago, while Miyu was talking to the other girls, Phil appeared to them. When Miyu saw his badge, she immediately knew that he was a Aesthetica paladin. By the time Akatsuki arrived, the three girls were no longer in the area. Akatsuki felt some energy nearby, and when he punched a tree, they saw Azumi and Kazuha. When Kazuha saw them, she said that Miyu ran away to make the man who attacked them follow her. She added that the man was also from the world where they came from, and Miyu also called him a Aesthetica paladin. After Akatsuki made the flow of Azumi and Kazuha's internal energy, he asked Haruka to immediately take them to the ICU. Then he also told Minami and Ryohei to evacuate the other students to their base camp. Since Akatsuki would follow Miyu and the enemy alone, Haruka did not agree on this because he might be endangered, but Akatsuki once again reminded them how strong he was. While Phil continued to chase Miyu, Onizuka suddenly blocked him. Onizuka attacked him using the same technique he used on Akatsuki, but it did not work on Phil either. Phil suddenly attacked him, but he only hit one of Onizuka's clones. Using many of his clones, he attacked Phil at the same time, but Phil was not bothered by this, so he immediately retaliated against Onizuka, causing him to be defeated completely. When he regained consciousness, he saw Akatsuki beside him, who was also adjusting the flow of the internal energy in his body. Akatsuki knew that Motoharu had been following him for a while, so he ordered him to take Onizuka to the ICU, and then he immediately continued to follow Miyu. When Phil caught up with Miyu, he introduced himself and told her his mission to bring her back to Alizard, since he was the new hero. Miyu attacked him, but Phil easily blocked it, and then retaliated with a punch to her stomach. Phil also said that they would put Miyu in a public execution, so that there would be peace in Alizard. Miyu knew that he would only be captured alive to force the members of the Dark Clan to come out. Through this, they would be able to do what they really planned, and it was to destroy the entire Dark Clan. To avoid this, Miyu thought of committing suicide, but Phil immediately found out what she was planning, so he warned her that if she would do it, he would return to her friends and kill them all. Because of this, she could not do anything but cry, but Akatsuki suddenly came. In Akatsuki's anger that Phil made Miyu cry, he immediately attacked him, causing Phil to retreat. Then they rushed at each other, and Akatsuki asked who helped him locate Miyu. Phil denied that someone helped him find Miyu, and said that the opportunity was just in his favor. But the truth was that he got some information from the school staff. He said that at first, they were not giving information, but when he attacked one of them, they spoke up about Miyu. He released a powerful aura, causing Akatsuki to be thrown away. Then they exchanged attacks again, until Akatsuki also used his power, which made Phil retreat. Based on this, Phil immediately found out that Akatsuki used the linked energy manipulation. Akatsuki also said that using his linked energy manipulation, he could also create an anti-magic barrier. Then he created an energy bomb, and when he threw it at Phil, Phil tried to block it with the anti-magic barrier, but it still went through his barrier. When Phil got up, he told Akatsuki what he did at the grave of the former hero, named Leon, that made Listy feel bad after seeing it. And they surely knew that he was the one who did it. But if he could kill Akatsuki and return Miyu to Alizard, he would definitely be recognized as a hero by the people. After Akatsuki heard what Phil said, he immediately punched him. Phil got up and took Miyu as hostage. Akatsuki could not do anything but let go of his sword. Phil ordered Akatsuki to remove the arm device, causing the sword to disappear as well. Akatsuki suddenly laughed because he realized that Phil was just jealous of him. Phil got annoyed by Akatsuki's words, so he suddenly attacked, but Akatsuki only blocked him. It was a moment that Akatsuki beat Phil, then he used his very powerful attack which made it impossible for Phil to get up. Miyu suddenly ran away, so Akatsuki immediately followed her. When they arrived at the waterfall, it was here that she told Akatsuki about her thoughts. She told him that she did not want the other people to be affected. Since she had nowhere else to go, she chose to end her life, then she jumped on the cliff. But Akatsuki immediately saved her. After that, Akatsuki immediately scolded her, and that was when he told her the dream of the Dark Lord or his father, and it was to give her a peaceful life. The Dark Lord fought as much as he could, but because he could not bear to defeat Akatsuki, he passed on his dream for his daughter to Akatsuki. For Akatsuki, it was not acceptable for him that she would give up on life and commit suicide. Because of Akatsuki's words, he restored Miyu's courage. They were about to return to the base camp, but Phil suddenly came. Phil could not believe that Akatsuki was still able to stand even the poison was spreading throughout his body. And Akatsuki also could not believe that Phil was still alive after his attack. Phil showed his true power because it was the reason why he was able to withstand the attack on him. Suddenly, the others heard a noise and saw a dragon in the distance. It turned out that Phil transformed into a Zahak, and Akatsuki could not believe that he was able to unite with the Alizard dragon. Miyu knew that Akatsuki had not recovered from the poison, so she decided to be a bait until Akatsuki recovered. Akatsuki did not want to agree to this, but he was already weak that he could not stop Miyu on her plan. Miyu started to attack Phil, then she let the enemy chase after her to lure it away from Akatsuki. The news about the dragon had also reached Kabuta. Since he also found out that Akatsuki faced the enemy, he thought of sending the Sleipnir. After Kazuha recovered, she also decided to help Miyu. She saw Akatsuki on the way, so she learned about the situation. A few moments later, Izumi also arrived after recovering from the injuries she had sustained. In this situation, they decided that they would go together to follow Miyu and to give Akatsuki a long time to recover. Kazuha asked how long Akatsuki needed time to recover because they would do everything to face the enemy for the meantime. Meanwhile, Miyu reached the urban training district, and as she continued to fight with Phil, she was knocked down by the enemy. When it attacked her, Haruka came here to save Miyu. Haruka thought that Akatsuki just left her, so Miyu told her about Akatsuki's true condition, and she was just giving him time to recover. Ryohei and Minami also came to help fight the enemy. They worked together to attack it, but their weapons did not work on the dragon. After Miyu's attack, Kazuha and Izumi also arrived. Izumi attacked the enemy, and Miyu thought that it had no effect, but after a while, Izumi's attack created a series of explosions. Kazuha told them that they only needed 30 more minutes so Akatsuki could heal himself completely. As they continued to fight Phil, Izumi also helped Haruka. Then Minami and Kazuha created a golem that they combined to knock Phil down. This was immediately followed by Ryohei's attack, and Miyu decided to use the technique she learned from her father. When she used it on Phil, she realized that Phil had set a trap. So after she informed the others, something suddenly exploded to where they were. When she got up, she saw Izumi and Kazuha lying down. She still intended to attack again, but Phil made her feel guilty that she was the only reason why her friends and loved ones were hurt, so Miyu chose to go back to Alizard. Because of this, Phil immediately took her, and when they were about to return to Alizard, someone suddenly released Miyu from the enemy. It turned out to be done by Akatsuki, who was riding the Sleipnir. Akatsuki instructed Miyu to evacuate the others. He planned that he was going to fight Phil alone. When Phil attacked, he easily blocked it. Akatsuki attacked too. His sword was affected by Zahak's poison. He let it go first to punch Phil, and then he attacked him repeatedly with his sword. But when he stopped, Phil suddenly retaliated. Then the enemy attacked him one after the other. As Phil approached him, he attacked him with his sword and was able to knock him down. When Phil got up, he felt the effects of Akatsuki's attacks. It turned out that it was because of Akatsuki's energy that managed to enter Phil's body. Suddenly, it exploded. Fortunately, Akatsuki was able to protect Miyu and the others. When he pulled out his sword, it was destroyed, and one of his arm devices was also damaged. But this was not an obstacle for him to defeat Phil, so Miyu decided to give his arm device to him. Haruka suddenly got up, and Akatsuki thought she would stop him, but she also gave him her arm device. As Phil approached them, he was immediately attacked by Akatsuki. Phil quickly retaliated, but Akatsuki was able to stab him with his new weapon. When Phil attacked again, Akatsuki tried to block it again, but Phil's attack hit him. When Phil was preparing to attack again, Akatsuki quickly put on another arm device, so he was able to create another weapon. Using this weapon, he overcome Phil's attack, and because of this, he was able to split it apart and it immediately exploded. When Miyu saw Akatsuki, she quickly went to him. The members of the cocoon had watched the fight between Akatsuki and Phil. Some of them were amazed at Akatsuki's ability to defeat a higher life form. Then they also discussed their plans, including the Project Y. The Crimson Twilight was also included in the conversation, and according to their leader, they could kill the members except its founder, because he would take care of it. After their meeting, Michael asked Kyoya why he did not fight the dragon. Based on its strength, it was possible that it could destroy Babel if the enemy hit it directly, and their plan would also be destroyed. He added that the welfare of the Project Y should always come first, and all their sacrifices were justified. At that moment, Kyoya asked Michael if his sibling was one of these sacrifices. While Akatsuki was thinking about his plan to fight with Kyoya, Motoharu told him that Haruka was looking for him. Then he also mentioned the result of the ranking match examination, where he and his other group mates managed to be included in Class A. Akatsuki mentioned about the chain that he noticed on Phil, causing him to be unable to move, and he was sure that Motoharu did it. Motoharu did not expect that Akatsuki would notice that either. After Motoharu left, their captain called him. Motoharu reported what Akatsuki did to the dragon, but he could not seem to see him join their group. Despite that, he was still assigned to continue in monitoring Akatsuki. After Listy found out that Phil made a deal with Zahak, she immediately confronted Baram. But Baram explained that his decision was the right one, because their opponent was the daughter of the former Dark Lord. And if Phil would return with the Dark Princess, no one would doubt that Phil was also a hero. Zex suddenly came to inform them on the news about the Black Mountain, where the Dark Beasts started to fight. The experts believed that this was because the mountain's master, Zahak, had died already. Baram could not believe what he had heard. But Zex announced something else, and this was about the extermination of the combined army of Shieldfeed and Distia who were assigned to the border. According to the information, it was allegedly done by the Dark Clan, which shocked Listy. The Shieldfeed prepared for the possible attack of the Dark Clan. Listy needed Akatsuki, and it was felt by him too. One day, they invited Izumi and Kazuha at their house, and it was here that Miyu told everything about her, and why things happened while they were in the ranking match examination. The two immediately understood Miyu, and Akatsuki also said that he planned to return to Alizard, because he felt that something was going on there. After hearing this, Miyu also decided to go with him, and even Izumi and Kazuha wanted to go too. Meanwhile, Haruka was already outside of the house, but she was shy of Akatsuki. Suddenly, Motoharu arrived, so she said that she was just assigned by Professor Kabuta to give Akatsuki something. They saw the light from the house, and they suspected that it was a dimensional shift, so they quickly entered the house. It turned out that Akatsuki and the others were getting ready to go to Alizard, so when the two entered, Motoharu immediately put a chain on Akatsuki, because he was going to come with them, so Haruka decided to go too. This is the end of the last episode of Aesthetica of a Rogue Hero. I hope you like it and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss new uploaded videos. Thank you for watching.